Hi, and welcome to the first podcast of the Sons of Kryos. I am Jeff.
And I am Judd.
And welcome.
We are both gamers up in Ithaca, New York, and this show is about role-playing games, be they tabletop or LARP, and how the gaming scene is up here in New York, and Jeff and I's experiences with gaming as a whole.
And other points of interest that we have with the gaming community here, as well as games of interest that we enjoy and experience.
First thing we should do, first order of business, we've stated our goal, now we should talk about the name, the Sons of Kryos, and where that comes from. It links us back to where Jeff and I actually met, which was a game store about a decade ago, which, rest in peace, is no longer with us, as many game stores fold. This one did too. It was called the Dragon's Hearth. It was started by Doug Hippensteel and masterminded by Jim Bryant. And the Dragon's Hearth was named by my mother. A little known fact. My mother came up with that.
Wow, I did not know that. Yes. That's pretty...
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So it had a fireplace in it. And above the fireplace, Jim had put a dragon's head. He took a dragon mask that you could buy in any kind of cheap costume shop, and he gave it to a taxidermist who attached it to a wooden plank like you would a stag head or a boar head, as if he had killed, someone had killed it in a hunt.
So it was like a stuffed dragon's head,
right? Yeah. And it was a white dragon, and it wasn't named. We didn't have a name for it, so Jim thought that the customer should name it. And we had to name the dragon contest. And there were terrible names. We got Bob, and people wanted to name the dragon after themselves. And I think a lot of people assumed that Jim was going to draw the name at random out of the bin. But he didn't. He dumped all the names out, and he read them because, we didn't want a dragon named Bob watching over the store.
Yeah, that would be a silly name for a dragon.
No doubt. So we came up with the best name out there was Kryos. And we don't know, to this day, I don't remember who gave that name.
That would be interesting. If any of you hearing this podcast know who put in the name, give us an email. I would be interested to find out who.
So Kryos came out, and we just all knew that was the name. Like, that was the dragon's name. That's what it was meant to be. And I think it means something in Latin. It might mean ice or cold in Latin. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that might be where it's from.
Right.
So
interesting. Yeah.
And the Dragon's Hearth was a fantastic store where Jeff and I met, and it really the gamers who we play with to this day, most of whom we met at the Dragon's Hearth.
Yeah, it was a great store. Had a really large space for playing games in, and that's really important to a community, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You have to meet people to play new games. Can I get back to the show just for a minute here?
Yeah.
I wanted to let everyone know that we're going to try and put this out, I think once a month, maybe more if we can.
Okay.
But we're going to shoot for
at least
once
a month. Let's say at least once a month.
Yeah, I know that you would really like to get one out before Gen Con.
Absolutely. So I want to do a pre-Gen Con show.
We'll see if we can get that out for you.
That would be rocking.
We also should give out contact info here.
Absolutely.
Judd, where can people send you email?
I think the easiest way to get in touch with me is to go to rpg.net, and if you have a sign-in, if you're listening to this, you probably go to rpg.net already, and you can contact me there. You can private message me there under the name Paka, which is my handle, Paka. Paka is also my handle over at ithacagamers.com. So easy way to get in touch with me. Just PM me under the name of Paka at that gaming forum. Jeff, how about you?
You can email me at thelostgm@ithacagamers.com, or I'm on quite a few of the forums as well, rpg.net, and I'm there as well as the Lost GM.
Sounds good.
Shall we go into a little bit about the gaming scene here in the town?
Sure. Do we want to talk about the Get Your Geek-On-a-thon? Is that?
Yeah, I think you are the person who started Your Geek-On-a-thon.
I am the Get Your Geek-On-a-thon coordinator. Get Your Geek-On-a-thon is, or Go-a-thon if you want to shorten it, is a quarterly event. Event is an ambitious word to use to describe what is generally a dozen, maybe a little more gamers getting together in a room. but it is all about cross-pollination and getting different gamers to get up and meet different people, which is not always the easiest task by any stretch of the imagination.
That's really helpful, though. I mean, it's tough getting in contact with gamers in any area.
Right.
And the fact that you're having an event that, promotes this is wonderful for people who don't have strong contacts to the gaming community.
What ends up happening is that the gaming groups here meet in their dorms, or they meet with their buddies. However they meet, and then they stay very insular. So this is hoping to get cross-pollination happening. I think that's the main goal of Get Your Geek On-a-thon. And it was spawned because I felt guilty, quite frankly. I was the GM of the weekly game I used to be in, called The Riddle of Steel, and I was in this wonderful game run by Mario, set in the Italian Renaissance, and Mario thought we needed another gamer of the group. He just thought the chemistry of the group was a little stagnant, we needed somebody else. And he brought in a total stranger, and I was very resistant to it at first, and I was vocally resistant. And I took a while, and I thought about that, and I thought about what a jerk I was being. And the Get Your Geek On-a-thon was spawned from that guilt, really. Showing my Jewish roots. I felt guilty, so I did something about it. And the Get Your Geek On-a-thon is spawned from that. Odyssey Games is vital in getting it's our local game store. We run it in a space that is attached to that shop, that is usually used for political meetings and for various liberal political groups in town. So there's nothing like being in a game, a fantasy role-playing game, and hearing warlike orcs curse each other out and having peace protesters be there to hear it. That's always a fun part of my gaming experience.
Yeah, last time we had the Get Your Geek On-a-thon, and I looked around at, seeing all the bumper stickers of I hate Bush or whoever.
Right.
It was an interesting setting.
I happen to agree with their politics, but their discomfort with us is always really interesting to me. I've heard a few of them call us war gamers, and they they really don't understand what it is we do there. I think.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people say to me, you make, don't kill things, this is, and it's like, well, it's only play, of course,
right.
But
don't tell stories where people are killed.
Yeah,
what if they don't go to movies where people are killed?
I don't know.
Maybe
they don't.
Bless their cotton socks if they don't. So,
I think also we should put in here that you can find a link to Odyssey Games website on ithacagamers.com. I have a page there for local games and things like that, and you can find a link to their website from there.
Nice. So, and Odyssey Games is vital in all of that. If I put around a hat and everybody puts in $1 for the Get Your Geek On-a-thon, but whatever isn't paid for the room, because it costs something to rent that space, whatever the difference is, Odyssey Games pays the difference. So they're fantastic. Javon and Jason, I've been big supporters of the game, of the Get Your Geek On-a-thon. Jason ran a Mutants and Masterminds game a few sessions ago, so that was really nice. So it's a nice quarterly event. Come out, meet a new gamer, and it's definitely an audition. You find out who the gamers are who play in the same style as you. Because it's one hobby, but there are so many styles within the hobby that it's very difficult sometimes to find people who mesh with your style.
Yeah.
And that's what Get Your Geek On-a-thon is about that. It's about finding gamers who make you happy. It's a nice thing.
There are some other local gaming events. On Friday nights, there is a Cornell Gaming Club held at Goldwyn Smith Hall.
Which is predominantly miniatures games and board games. I think there are some.
There's a Living Greyhawk campaign that happens pretty much every Friday there as well.
They never come to the Get Your Geek On-a-thon either. The Living Greyhawkers never attend.
Huh? I'm surprised by that. I went up there a couple of times and played with them. And it wasn't quite my thing.
Right.
It was interesting playing with new people, and having never played Living Greyhawk, it was really interesting. But I haven't gone back.
Right.
So it didn't quite get my attention that much.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But it is a place for you to go and meet other gamers, and if your style is Living Greyhawk, then
there you go.
There you go. That's where it's at.
Nice. So the way that the Geekonathons get set up is primarily through email. I mean, that's my primary. Yeah. It's easy. I put out a bunch of emails. I put threads for each game in the forum, and it's very simple. And then we go. I show up 15 minutes to put the tables up, and we're off to the races. It's usually from 12 to 8 on a Saturday. A very easy setup. It's inspired by the nerdnyc.com, which is a site about New York City, the New York City gaming scene. Because what was happening is people were coming to New York City to work or to start their life, and they didn't have a gaming group. And nerdnyc.com has really allowed a lot of people to meet and hook up. And I was inspired by that notion, inspired and guilty of my own insular, antisocial nature. And Nerd NYC was definitely what I based it all on. I said, wow, you can really do this. It's viable and it's easy. And when Jeff, who is the moderator over at IthicaGamers.com, started a forum, I realized that we could definitely do it. So that was nice.
Now, how many Get Your Geek-On-a-thons have there been so far?
There have been 3 so far. Two with a T-shirt and 1 without. Because Jeff and his wife always make up a T-shirt, but for the game, so for the Get Your Geek-On-a-thon. And it's nice to have a T-shirt that just commemorates the event. That's always cool. So we give T-shirts to the GMs.
And we give them to the GMs, and if you go and you think the shirts are really cool, you can buy one from us.
My mom really wants one. I really got to make one for her. She really.
Well, hey, she came up with the name for Kryos. Or she came up with the name for the Dragon Stars. We got to get her a shirt.
I owe her a T-shirt. So
But if you want to buy one of the shirts, or if you want to download the image that is put on the shirt,
it's on the site,
print it and put it on your own shirt, you can get that from the website.
Absolutely. So inspired by Nerd NYC, easy to set up.
And then, what do you do during Get Your Geek On?
I like to run a game. I've run Burning Wheel and Dogs in the Vineyard and Sorcerer. So I like to run a one shot there, and usually it's an indie RPG. Vincent Baker's Dogs in the Vineyard, Luke Crane's Burning Wheel, Ron Edwards' Sorcerer, and they're fun games. I really like to. They usually make people look at the gaming in a different way, because I think those are really, those 3 games in particular are the games that are knocking my socks off at the moment. No,
I never really played indie RPGs before I got into pretty much Gen Con with you around that time.
Last year,
Yeah, and I have found the indie RPGs to be amazing.
I'm glad you dig them.
The people are really passionate about their games.
No doubt.
And they're really well written, and you can get a hold of them if you need to ask them a question.
Right.
That's the best thing.
Right. No doubt.
But they're a lot of fun, and you really seem to dig them a lot.
I've had a lot of fun playing. It's really changed the way that I think about gaming, which is nice. I've always been the GM of whatever group I'm in, and to expand the tools in your toolkit is always a lot of fun. And to just change the way that you think about the GMing job is neat. So,
and Get Your Geek On-a-thon really helps that too.
No doubt.
Because if you are a gamer who has been with maybe 1 or 2 gaming groups for
just give something new a shot. Yeah,
it gives you an opportunity to see other people and how they run their games.
Yep, absolutely.
And once in a while, you pick up something new that you have not ever thought of before, and you might incorporate it into your own game.
It's good for that. It's a bunch of games have begun because people have met at the Geek-On-a-thon and said, hey, let's exchange emails, and then gone and started a game. So that makes me incredibly happy. That's what it's all about. And I'd like to try to help generate sales at Odyssey Games, and I think it's done that too. So
absolutely.
We've had people come from as far as Oswego, which is a couple hours away, and it's just been fantastic. I think it's going to be growing hopefully in the next year, and we'll try to put a butt in every seat.
I've actually even talked to people at gaming conventions in New York about Get Your Geek On-a-thon, and some people sounded interested in coming to it. I don't know if they actually have, because I missed one of them, but it's noticed. They knew what I was talking about when I brought it up.
Neat.
So they have been, people have been looking.
Cool.
People have been seeing what's been going on.
As long as we have one, every Get Your Geek On-a-thon, so that's 4 times a year, a quarterly event. As long as there's one good game happening, I'm pretty pleased. that one game to actually go off and happen. Because usually some tables are a little empty so far.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Now, do you want people to contact you if they're interested in running a game? Because I know there are only 4 or 5 games that you have there. So, how do you decide who gets to run?
I usually I wait for GMs to contact me. And if I don't get enough GMs, I go out to my friends and I say, I need you to run something. So if you want to run something, email me. I mean, you can go to there's a Get Your Geek On-a-thon section into the ithacagamers.com and just drop me a line there and I will get it. And I will definitely get back to you. The next event should be, I'm going to say late September, early October.
Great.
So we'll see.
Now, there's also a sign-up for the Get Your Geek On-a-thon for the games you want to play.
Yes, you sign up via the forums, absolutely.
Right. And is there a sign-up at Odyssey Games as well?
There's a manual sign-up at Odyssey Games. I put a sign-in sheet there for each game, so you can sign into the game that you want.
And a fair number of the games that are run have a limit to how many players they want to have in
Absolutely.
it. Obviously, there are some games that would be very popular, and people aren't really interested in running a game for a dozen people or more. So we have to limit it somewhat.
Too many people hasn't been a problem. So if I ever had spillover, it's an 8-hour slot. If I ever had spillover, I would ask a couple of DMs to run a 4-hour game and then another 4-hour game.
Right.
So, but that hasn't been a problem yet. Let's just get a butt in every seat first, and then we'll worry about what's going to happen when there's too many people.
So, Get Your Geek On-a-thon is an 8-hour event?
Absolutely. Noon to 8.
Great. Well, it's a lot of fun. If you're interested, check it out.
Come on and join us.
The Sons of Kryos podcast is being brought to you by ithacagamers.com.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit about the local LARPing scene here in Ithaca. You are a prominent participant.
I've been involved in LARPing in its various aspects in this town pretty much ever since it started here. A couple, Lyle and Alan, came to town and they started a Nero chapter. Nero stands for New England Role-Playing Organization, and they ran that chapter for, it wasn't long, maybe like 3 months, maybe a little bit longer, but they had some issues with Nero and broke up and formed their own game, which they called Arrow, which stands for Alternate Realities Role-Playing Organization.
Right.
And Alternate Realities was the store that they had, a costuming shop, and they had their first several events at their store. They had a bit of an area next to it.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
they put up the tarps
and props and all that stuff inside there, and
I remember that.
We played right next door to it. It was my first experience with Boffer LARPing, and it certainly impressed me, having had no experience. And their game ran for probably 5 or 6 years. I think probably 5. It was a lot of fun. Actually, I met my wife there.
Yeah.
She was playing a goblin the first time we met. She saw me. I didn't recognize her at all, obviously, wearing a goblin outfit.
Mm-hmm.
She said, though, that she was impressed with how quickly I beat her down.
Oh wow, that's really disturbing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did you ever ask her to put the goblin mask back on, just for all time's sake?
No.
Not even special occasions.
Definitely not the goblin mask.
Not the goblin mask.
No.
Okay.
But later on, actually, she was playing a human, and I had finished this battle, and wearing chainmail and plate mail was pretty tired, and asked her to give me a massage. And
you asked her?
Yeah, and paid her a few copper.
Wow! So your first physical contact with your wife-to-be was a role-playing game, in-game transaction.
Yeah.
That's
not legal tender, though.
Right, but how much did you pay her?
Boy, I don't recall.
Okay.
I think it was a lot, though. Back rubs, got quite a bit of money back then.
I didn't know the back rub to gold coin economy. I don't know very much about it.
It was huge. Hey. Yeah, so she will probably recall it a bit differently than I, but that's my version of the story, and I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough. And then you ended up being on Plot Narrow.
Yeah, I had been in...
Right, Plot Committee being like the GMs who run the game.
Yeah, a group of people who decide rules and how events work, and they plan it, make props, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Nice.
I had joined them probably about 1.5 to 2 years before the game ended.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite an experience for me. It was, we ran events every other weekend, which is...
That's a crazy schedule.
Yeah, it was extremely demanding, and I still wonder how they did it. It's a lot of time. We met at least once a week, sometimes more. And, that along with making props, having a job, it's a huge demand of your time. And they did it for a long time. And eventually they got involved with other things. They started getting into the Ren Fair circuit, and from what I hear, they're doing very well there.
Well, God bless them.
Yep. So that game eventually ended, though.
Right.
And I was very sad to hear that, as well as quite a lot of other people who were involved with it. And I asked a friend of ours, very good band, to help me create and run a new Boffer LARP, which we named IFRA, which stands for Ithaca Fantasy Role Players Association.
Okay, so it started as a bastard stepchild of Nero, and then became Arrow, and then you guys took that community and ran it with IFRA. Yep,
and it really became a community. We had a couple, Monroe and Janet Payne, who allowed us to have a site on their land,
right? And there's
for years.
There's a little village there now.
Yeah, we built a little village. Nothing permanent, of course. It's these little sheds, for lack of a better term, and we have a wall that looks like a wall around it,
right?
And it's been there for a while, and it certainly has a unique feel. And from what I hear, there are very few LARPs that have anything like that.
Right.
So it's certainly impressive, and it shows how strong the LARP community is here, that people are willing to take that much time and effort to build buildings that they can play and live and have their characters live in. Really, it's been a lot of fun, and that game ended. IFRA ended about a year and a half ago.
And okay, go on. Yeah, but the LARP scene hasn't ended there.
No, certainly not. The community is very strong, and in fact, 3 new games rose from the ashes of IFRA. One of them, which is... actually, all 3 of them, I'll list off their names. One is called Realm of Legendary Adventures. Mm-hmm. Another is called Flag, which stands for Finger Lakes Adventure Gaming. Mm-hmm. And then the Heroes Trek. and I'll tell you a little bit about each of those. The Realm of Legendary Adventures is kind of an offshoot of the IFRA system.
Okay.
And it's Barry Goodban, as well as some of the other people who were on the plot committee for IFRA. It's an interesting world, and it's the first Boffer LARP in this area that has religion in it.
That's usually a big no-no for fantasy, well, for any LARPs that I've known.
Yeah, they really tend to stay away from it.
Any of the Boffer LARPs that I've known.
Yeah, they really tend to stay away from it. You know, I think people are afraid of being thought of as a cult.
Right, no doubt.
And it just has been something that people have spent quite a bit of effort on staying away from. And this game, Realm of Legendary Adventures, actually embraces it quite well. Nice. And I've only been to one event thus far, and it's a 18 or over game.
Okay.
But it certainly represents religion well, and they have a passion for their setting that is very obvious in the game.
Very nice.
And I think they're going to have 3 events a year. That's what they're going to run.
That's a wise number. I think 3 or 4 a year is tops.
Yeah, it's tough to run something well.
It's staggering how much administrative work goes into those. I mean, if that's all I knew gaming was, I wouldn't run games because it's just too much work. I like to.
Well, there's no way a single person can do it too. You know, in tabletop gaming, you can do it all yourself.
Right.
And in LARPing, you've got to have other people.
No doubt.
There's no question about it. You cannot do it as a single person.
And the costume, and in this town, the carpentry, and it's just wild.
Luckily, we have some really talented people in the area who make boffer weapons, plumbing supplies, or PVC cores covered with foam and duct tape to look like swords. And recently, people have been using foam latex weapons, which look wonderful.
But are they a little dangerous, maybe? A little more dangerous?
To be honest, I think they have some safety issues, but I think with a little bit of training, minimal training, you can get people to fight with them safely.
Some of them are a little pointy. I'd be worried about somebody getting it in the eye.
Yeah, all the games that allow latex weapons here have had a rule of not allowing people to thrust for that very reason.
It's all swings.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
Makes it a little bit more safer. Nobody really wants to get pointed or poked in the eye with something that resembles a sword.
Right. Okay, so next is Flag, I think, is next one.
Flag is a game that allows, I think, people under 18. It might... I'm pretty sure it's 16 and up.
Right.
And this game is a great game for you to start in if you're under the age of 18. And it's more of a D&D type of setting.
Okay.
There's lots of magic, and there's lots of races, classes, and they even have prestige classes.
Oh, a little D20 action.
Yeah, and I think that they have been influenced by the D20 system. I wouldn't say horribly strongly, but it's obvious that its influence is there somewhere.
Got it.
You know, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Absolutely.
You know, I run a D20 game, and there are thousands of people out there who love it. So, they're doing something right.
God bless you.
The next game is the Heroes Trek,
which you help administrate.
Yeah, I help in running that one. My friends Pat and Ken asked me to help them out. Actually, their very first event, I was a hero for what we've referred to as our PCs, and I ended up hiking 12 miles in chainmail and plate mail.
Which is what the trek is about. That's why the Heroes Trek is called the trek, because you actually have to trek. Yep,
you walk 3 to 12 miles is what we've been shooting for during the events.
Wow.
Yeah, it's you gotta be somewhat fit.
Right. No, not somewhat. I mean, to do that with a full pack and the food that you're going to eat and the armor.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of trekking.
Now, there is one thing I have to say about that. One of our players who's attended all of our events so far and heroed 2 of the 12-mile treks is Janet Payne. She's one of the couple who own the land that Ifra played on, and she's probably in her late 40s, early 50s.
Wow!
And she
hoofed
it. Yeah, she did it, and
wow.
if she can do it, you guys can do it.
No doubt. That's really busting the stereotypes of our subculture right in two.
And nice. She was wearing armor and carrying her stuff too. So
wow, that's inspiring.
I have to give her a huge amount of credit.
How many kids has she had?
Boy, she's got 5 kids.
That's inspiring.
They're all grown up now,
right?
Pretty much. But yeah, she was awesome.
Wow.
She was really awesome, and she cooked some good food, and it was good company. And at night, she pulled her guard shift just like everybody else.
That's fantastic. I didn't know about that at all. That's great.
Yeah,
very nice.
That's awesome. So actually, this game is actually kind of unique for the area, though. I think because the game is using a silent combat system.
Mm-hmm. Kind of inspired by the Atlas role-playing game up north.
Yes, yes.
The interaction system, it's called.
Right, and I've never played Atlas, but the silent combat system I absolutely fell in love with.
Right,
and it makes things a bit more realistic. You're fighting, and you don't have to call out damage.
Right. Most LARPs you have to call out 3 damage, 2 damage, 4 normal, 5 normal. So
right, and it can be distracting.
Oh no, absolutely.
And if you're a warrior surrounded by 4 goblins all hitting you, you're going to hear 3 normal from 4 people, and how do you keep track of that? It's so confusing.
You probably don't.
Yeah, it's
kind
tough.
of faking it. Also, I've noticed having NPC'd up at Atlas a couple times, it's much easier to kill someone silently with a sound.
Yes.
I mean, literally. I mean, because you don't have to say anything, or you don't have to say very much. So you can really walk up behind somebody and give them a good whack and get out of there before anybody really even knows you were there, which is kind of neat.
Or if you're making a damage call, everybody's going to hear you.
Right. Then they have to hear you. But if it's kind of neat. It really makes stealth, it puts a premium on stealth, which is kind of cool. And it just feels better. It just feels more interesting and dynamic than the call systems.
And because your damage that you're dealing has nothing to do, doesn't have as much to do with your character skill.
Right.
If you're a decent fighter, you can make things a bit more realistic.
Okay.
And it gives you an opportunity to act out the fighting more, I think.
I would say it's not more realistic. It makes you feel like it's more realistic.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing realistic about the way these fights happen.
Well, somewhat, yeah. I mean, obviously, fighting. You're fighting. You're pretend fighting with weapons.
Right.
So you're swinging them at each other. So they're, in that fact, people do get hurt, obviously, because you are pretending to fight.
Right.
So you're doing things that, if these weapons were not padded, you'd be hurting each other.
Right.
So there's some realism to it, but.
It is a sport unto itself. Is what Bakugan fighting has become a sport unto itself. Is what I would say.
True.
And it's not that sport has as much to do with a real sword fight as pillow fighting has to do with a real bar brawl.
True.
So
okay, yeah.
I mean, anyway, all I'm saying is it's abstracted. To get back to gaming, it's abstracted, and it's there to make you feel like you're in a fight, rather than being, rather than any claim of. Whenever there's a claim of realism in gaming, I always kind of arch my eyebrow and start asking questions.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, because I don't know. That's a big flag for me that something's up. If somebody says that's not realistic,
right?
It just gets my dander up. What else? Anything else to say about?
Well, actually, there was a moment though that I have to bring up.
Oh yeah, definitely
about that, because there was something that happened that just was wonderful for me. I was playing a orc and one of the heroes had used a skill on me to keep me from dying because they wanted to interrogate me. So they had me on the ground. They kicked my weapons away, and they were interrogating me.
And you always find out how heartless heroes are when they have to interrogate you when you're an NPC. They are heartless.
Absolutely.
So what happened to you? I've got tons of. I was interrogated by LARP PC stories. I'd like to hear yours.
So basically, there's this stone monument on one of the Finger Lakes trails, and we don't know who put it up there. Obviously, these people built it, and it's hundreds and hundreds of little stones piled on top of each other into this thing, about 6 feet high. And the orcs were around that, and they came up and they beat us down, and they wanted to interrogate me and find out what this thing was.
Right.
And I gave them what information I had.
Okay.
And after they were satisfied that they couldn't get anything else from me, the player, one of the players, actually a brand new LARPer, never LARPed before.
Oh, wow.
He had a latex short sword. Threw his short sword up in the air so it spun, caught it as it was coming down, and stabbed me in the chest with it.
Oh, nice.
And it was just a wonderful death scene.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, and that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't a silent system.
Nice.
Not in that way. It really stood out and was really cool, I thought.
Neat. I was once NPCing as an ogre back when I was in college, and the PCs caught me, and they tied me to a chair, and they hit me and healed me up for hours of real game time trying to get answers out of me. It was ridiculous. The most ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. I was flabbergasted that these people were supposed to be noble knights, and they were torturing this ogre.
Wow.
And they really, they were really making high claims towards nobility and being paladins, and it was like a Reservoir Dogs scene. It was just horrific.
Did you have fun though? Did you have fun role playing the ogre while this was all going on, or did
no? It didn't disturb me. If it had disturbed me, I would have called a hold and asked to be let go.
Right.
But I just was kind of horrified at the role playing aspects of it. That all weekend these guys were talking about how noble they were, and then all of a sudden, there I was tied to a chair. Like not really tied to a chair, but phys rep tied to a chair.
Right.
And these guys were just being, just horrific. Just terrible people.
Wow.
But yeah, that's heroes for you. Anything else you have to add about the LARP scene?
There are some other LARPs in the town.
There's some like White Wolf inspired LARPs.
Some non-boffer LARPs, some White Wolf LARPs.
Right.
There is a Vampire the Masquerade LARP.
Right, which I believe, which Paula runs in town. I believe that's in Torpor right now.
Yeah, it's on hold for right now. Some things were going on this summer. People were busy, and it needed to pause for a little while.
Fair enough.
But that is not a Mind's Eye Theater.
Right, no, it's non-Camarilla affiliated.
Yes, non-Camarilla affiliated.
I think they're even using Old World of Darkness, which is a little puzzling.
Yes, they are. They are. And, I am not a fan of the Mind's Eye Theater system whatsoever. In fact, I hate it. And people can disagree with me, that's fine,
Right.
But it was a fun game. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, did you have fun?
Yeah, I NPC'd for them.
What kind of system do they use?
They use a card system.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the players carry around cards. And
like everyone who carries around their own deck?
It's not a whole deck. You carry around just
a couple cards?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you don't have to carry around the whole deck. But it was a great game. It was actually... Vampire LARPing has been... Well, you actually were in the first Vampire LARP that happened in this town.
Yes, I was.
I played in as well.
Yes, I was.
And the Vampires LARPing has been going on in this town ever since then. It just has passed on from one storyteller
from one dysfunctional storyteller to
another.
It's been handed down a lot like domestic abuse. Really, is the way I think Vampire LARP has been handed around in this town. If you want a dark metaphor for the Vampire LARPing in this town.
Not a big fan of the Vampire LARPing, are we, Judd?
No, in general, fine. I mean, whatever gets you going. But I have had personal experience with the Vampire LARPs in this town, and I don't know about Paula's LARP, and God bless them if they're having fun. But I have found that those games tend to be pretty dysfunctional and pretty just not a lot of fun for me.
Right.
But if people are having fun and they're getting together and having a good time, that's fantastic. But I know how the early games went, and they were a mess.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's all.
There is another White Wolf
Changeling
LARP. Changeling. Yeah.
Chris is running that.
Yep. I don't know all the details about it, but I think they meet once a month. Maybe it's twice a month.
Okay.
You can find a link to all of these games. They don't all have websites.
But they have Yahoo groups.
They have Yahoo groups, and you can find links to those on the local games page on ithacagamers.com.
Rock on.
And you can contact these people and find and ask them more about their own games, because obviously I have not played the Changeling LARP, so I know nothing about it really.
All right.
But
I played Burning Wheel with Chris, the girl who runs that LARP a while ago, and she was a really fun gamer, and she played an Elven Princess to the hilt, and I can vouch for her good gamerness.
She actually played in the Vampire, the Masquerade LARP for a little while, so I've played.
And you know what? She played at the Get Your Geek-On-a-thon just to show how the cross-pollination has worked. I also played with Chris as she played in Dogs in the Vineyard.
Oh, okay, great.
So that was cool. Yeah, she was good. She was excellent. So, yeah, it's a nice small community.
I don't think there's any other LARPs going on right now.
I know of.
I know there have been some one-shot type of things that have been going on, one-shot vampire LARP stuff and things like that, but nothing that happens on a regular basis.
Why don't we talk about next time, or what we're going to talk about next show?
Yeah, well, let's see. Gen Con's coming up.
Gen Con!
So I think we're going to try and get in one more show before Gen Con.
Maybe we can get JJ here. Because me, Jeff, and JJ go to Gen Con together as like a big road trip. And it's just a ton of fun. So hopefully we'll have a pre-Gen Con show. We'll capture some of that excitement. And we'll talk about some of the things that are coming out that we're looking forward to buying, and the games that we're looking forward to playing, and
some of the stuff that we did last year.
And some of the stuff that we did last year. So
there was Gen Con is a big event, and lots of things happened. We had a great time, and we'll give you a bit of info about that.
20,000 geeks in Indianapolis, no doubt.
And obviously a show after Gen Con.
A post Gen Con show is a must.
Yeah. Maybe they won't be as long, but it'll be easier for us to put out if we don't make them as long, I think.
Okay. Well, that is our first Sons of Kryos show. I hope you... Kryos, Sons of Kryos was, I think, a first edition D&D monster. I totally slipped. Yeah. They were these zombies that had worms that shot out of their eyes, and the worms would, like, get in you, and you had to cut them out.
That sounds like a great monster.
It was a great monster.
I think I may have to use that.
But that's not what this show is. This is This is the Sons of Kryos, not the Sons of Caius. Sons of Kryos. A bunch of gamers who met through the Dragon's Hearth, and this is our first show. My name is Judd.
And I am Jeff, and we will
see you next time.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, no doubt.